making games with plain HTML, JavaScript, and CSS is certainly possible, but you might miss some features of a full-blown game engine like Godot. So, what's the current status of using Godot for web games? Well, here's the right person to answer this question. Luca Leonardi has worked on several games in the past. He's working currently in web development and released much games. So, yeah, he has an in-depth knowledge of what you can do and what you can't. So, let's welcome Luca Leonardi.
Okay, I'm not used to microphone, so okay. Hello everyone, thank you for being here. My name is Luca Leonardi, and today we're going to talk about web games. In particular, we are going to see what are web games, why they are interesting, and how does Godot fit currently in the web gaming environment. Something about me. I'm known as Laxel on the web. I published a few games, both on mobile and webs. I have more than 5 years of Godot experience. One of the most famous games I published is Zook Adventure. It's a 2D platform game available for Android. And yeah, in general, what I want to offer today is the point of view not just from an hobbyist, a Godot enthusiast, but also from a developer who actually ship games for web platforms. So I have actual needs for my games. Today I came here with Rising Pixel. Rising Pixel is the company I work for. This is my beautiful team, mainly Spanish and Canarian colleagues. So something real quickly about my company. We are located in Canary Islands in Spain. We have more than 10 years of experience, and our main focus are HTML5 games. So we do serious game, educational games, and more recently we started publishing games on a platform like CrazyGames, Poki, Playgamma. So our games are available for the public. Those are some of the games we published, different platforms like, as I said, for example, Poki, CrazyGames, Cool Math Games, which they focus on puzzle, mathematical games, or game distribution. You can find those games available online. I will also share the slides at the end of the presentation. So, what are web games? Actually, also known as HTML5 games. The idea of web games is that they are games easily available, instant gaming. They run on different platforms, like, for example, desktop, mobile, but also on smart devices, smart watches. So the idea is that they are small in size, easily available, and don't require a download. So you can play directly from your browser. They have a lot of potential in terms of both user acquisition, thanks to platforms like, for example, CrazyGames or Poki that publish your game, and also monetization. There are various ways to monetize your web games, like interstitial ads, rewarding ads. I don't ask you to trust me, actually, about this, but I want to show some data that proves what I'm talking about. The current state of the market shows that HTML5 games are growing. It's a growing market. There is this compound annual growth rate of 3.1% every year, and it keeps growing. Some data. I'm gonna go briefly on this slide because it's packed with a lot of information. But as I said, it's a growing market, and more and more devs, shows the data, ships to dev every year. And there are more and more new games shipped on web platforms. CrazyGames and Poki are growing platforms that reach hundreds of millions of users, and there are interesting monetization options. But I'm not a marketer, I'm just a developer, so if you're interested, I can share the slide, you can see them. So the question is, can I use Godot for making web games? It depends. Why Godot is cool? Godot is cool for many different reasons. It's amazing options and for different reasons, which are, of course, permissive license, because it's open source, so it's going to be free forever. It allows export on multiple platforms, so not just web, but also desktop, mobile, you name it. And for that reason, it also supports 3D, so it's a really powerful engine, general purpose engine. It's really good for fast prototyping and iterations with GDScript, which allows you to make fast prototype, also, for example, for game jams. And in my opinion, has an amazing usability. That's why one of the reasons why I use it. It's really great for doing UI in games, for example. Also, it has a really great integration with Git. So also it makes working with other team members really easy. Unfortunately, there are other more specialized engines regarding the web environment currently. For example, specifically default construct. I also show Unity, even though it suffers from some of the similar problems of Godot, but the data shows that Unity is used a lot for web games. Also, they recently started supporting web GPU. But yeah, currently the market offers other more specialized options. This doesn't want to be a comparison. I just want to offer my point of view and my company point of view of why we use another engine. Because in our company, for making web games, we use Construct 3. And the reason is that mainly it comes down to two main factors, which are build size and loading times, which is something that Construct 3 does very, very well. Usually web builds with Construct goes down to 5 megabytes, which is perfect for web games. Construct is also offers good performances and a strong stability across devices, which is important when releasing a web games, which is meant to run on a different type of devices, as we saw. And also offers great tools integrations, for example, with Firebase, or other tools which we use a lot in the company where I work. It makes it a very strong option for web games. So yeah, this is not what the presentation is about. It's not a fight between Godot and other engines. It's just what I want to try to put a light on is what is currently missing from Godot to put it on the same level of other more specialized engines. I want to do this by seeing a real case scenario, a case study, which is Sballoon. A game I published on a web platform on CrazyGames. So today I would like to show you the process of publishing this game on the platform, the pain I encountered, and some workarounds, some fixes I found at the current state of the web exports. Sballoon is simply a roguelike where you control a cannon and you shoot bubbles. The idea is to reach the highest possible score. You can pick upgrades, and that's basically the core loop of the game. It's a simple game. It's well suitable for a web platform. So let's talk a bit about the development and the publishing of it. It started from a game jam, the global game jam, and it's made with Godot 4.3. We basically did almost all the game. It's not looping the video. Okay, never mind. We basically did all the game in 2 days, in 1 weekend. The core gameplay mechanics, and then after the jam, I started contacting some publishers. I tried to contact Poki, CrazyGames, starting from the major and going to other publishers. And CrazyGames showed some interest in the game, but they asked for some changes. This is not unusual that the publisher asked for changes to the game. So there was this first iteration of back and forth between me and the publisher. So, for example, one of the biggest changes they asked for was making the game landscape, because initially the game was sold for a portrait view, for a mobile view. And they asked for a landscape change because their main audience is on desktop. I also had to implement the publisher SDK, which is common also to implement the SDK of the publisher. And there was this back and forth of feedbacks regarding the gameplay, especially some of the feedbacks were focused on ads placement, so the type of ads used, rewarding ads for monetization purposes. After this back and forth that lasted, I don't know, maybe 1 month or something of changes, the game finally got approved, and I managed to publish the game on the platform. So I would like to share some of the issues I encountered during this process, and some of the workarounds I found at the current state of Godot. So the first pain point, of course, was the build size. As I said, it's really important for web games to have a small build size because they have to be fast, accessible, and also accessible to maybe countries that don't have strong internet infrastructures. So the build size is essential. I had an issue with CrazyGames at the beginning because the build size was too big, and I had to find a way to reduce the build size. They also didn't allow me to check the mobile flag for the game, even though it supported mobile, because the build size was over 20 megabytes. I think the original one, when I first did the build, was around 40 or 50 megabytes or something. The solution, at least at the moment, is this amazing guide that you can find on internet, wrote by Bob Carr, I think the guy's called, on his blog. And it's a really useful guide, actually not just for web builds, but for Godot builds in general, that explains how to reduce the build size of a project. So basically you have to create a custom template and strip down parts of the engine that are not used. So for example, my game did not use any 3D, so I just removed this part from the engine. So this guide basically explains you how to remove all these unnecessary parts, and you can improve your build size by a lot. I managed to go under 20 megabytes for my game. I think around 70 megabytes. So this allowed me to publish the game and also mark it as mobile available. I recently discovered also, talking with Dom, and that there are even more improvements that can be done regarding the minification of the build size. For example, the game can be compressed before being published, and I know there is some work being done on this part of the engine to basically implement directly this function from the export menu. So it doesn't have to be a manual changes and simplification, but can be directly done from Godot. Another big issue that currently Godot have are iOS issues. So unfortunately, the Godot Web builds don't work well on iOS devices. And I would love to share with you a workaround with this, but I don't have one. So if you're looking for stability, probably at the moment for web games, the most suitable option will be to stick to Godot 3, because it does work better on iOS devices. It seems like this is an Apple side problem mainly, so it should be more about communication between Godot team and Apple for improving on this aspect. I know that improvements are being made, but at the current state, Godot 4 still have issues on iOS devices. And the last issue I found that I would like to share was a problem about memory leaks. So I found out after the release of my game that if the play session of the game was too long, the game just crashed. After some research and debugging, I realized that it was related to a memory leak problem, and I wanted to pinpoint this in the presentation, not really to offer a solution about this, because of course there are many different approaches for this, but more as a reminder that building for web requires its own optimization. Like building for web is different than making games for mobile devices, and is different, of course, from making games for desktop. So web games require their own optimization. One possible solution for memory leak is object pooling, which is not instantiating all the bullets of the cannon in this case, for example, but every time the cannon shoots, but instantiating every bullet at the beginning and then just move them around. Another web optimization is for sure asset optimization, so being sure that your assets are compressed, are small in size, also to improve the final build size. Yeah. So, what is currently missing from Godot to make it competitive on the HTML5 market? I try to summarize what is missing from this slide. We already touched some of those points, but to recap, the first two were for sure being smaller build size and shorter loading times. Smaller build size, as I said, there is a guide available, so currently is not that big of a problem. There are solutions and there is work done in this area. Shortening loading times also is another important aspect, because it's related to build size, but small build size doesn't necessarily mean short loading times. Currently, the way Godot loads game the project is by loading the full project at the start of the page, on landing on the web page. This is not the optimal way for loading times, because it leads to longer loading times. A better approach will be to make smaller pieces of the project and then load those parts on demand. There are solutions, there are workarounds that I recently discovered for shortening loading times, but currently it's not something that it's implemented directly in the engine, and that will make a big difference in the web environment. The third point is stability and compatibility across devices. So, for example, we talked about iOS issues. This can be a problem for companies that want to use Godot professionally for web games. Stable performance. In general, Godot offers good performance, and also with the right optimization, it's doable. But it's another important aspect to notice. And the fifth point, which is more of a personal consideration, I think, are official integrations. Those are really important for publishing for web, or also HTML5 games in general. I understand that being an open source project, it really depends on volunteers and on people that are willing to create tools, create plugins that can connect to the project. While other engines may have some official type of integrations, but this is really important, for example, for analytics, for multiplayer, or in general game services. They're really useful when publishing for web. So it will be great if there were some official integration, or maybe if the Godot Association will pay some volunteers just to work on official integrations. So the conclusion is that let's try to answer the question, why should I choose Godot? Can I choose Godot for making web games? My personal answer to this question is Godot is really great in general, but specifically also for web games, for its usability, prototyping speed, and fantastic growing community. What I really like about Godot is that it's really, really fast to make game, to ship games with it. And one of the interesting things about web is that it can also be used as a platform for testing idea, for receiving feedbacks. And Godot allows to ship very fast games and iterate on idea, test if a prototype can work or not, and then eventually also move on other platform. Maybe use a web platform as a ramp to validate an idea, and then maybe move on mobile or something else. It's also true that web platform usually have in the contract they don't allow to publish on other web platforms, but they don't care that much about mobile, so your game can be both on web and on mobile, for example. Being a general purpose engine, it does many things, as we saw, 2D, 3D, and you can build on many different platforms. So of course, it finds it difficult to compete with more specialized engines, like, for example, Construct 3. However, I think we are on the right track. I think progress is being made. I have faith in the project, in the community. So overall, I feel like Godot can be, in the future also, a solid option for web game and in general for game development. Thank you. You can find also the slide of the presentation from this QR code if you're interested, or on the link. Yeah. Do we have time?
Sadly, there isn't that much time left. Is there a really quick question? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of sold on the idea of yeah, my game is on mobile, and I think actually publishing on the web would be really good. I'm just, if you could go a bit more into detail on the compression issues, because my build size is 120 megabytes.
Wow.
And so
okay.
it feels like a bit of a stretch to get down to 20.
Yeah, it's definitely too big size for web. I wanted to keep this presentation simple and not enter into details because it will take a big chunk of time. But to synthesize, you can use broadly for compressing your final build size. So basically, when you export for web, you will have two main files, which are PCK and WASM, which are the two main files that make your web build. And you can compress those files using this system, which is called Brotli, to lower it down even more, and you can really like strip more than 50% of the build size. So I think that in your case, a combination of custom template and compression would already lower a lot the build size of the project. I can share more specific details after the talk if you want.
So another round of applause, please.
Thank you. Thank you.